The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
Annabelle Tuck was elected to the Arkansas Supreme Court in 1997. She served until 2009. She was the first female elected to the state's highest court. Since then, 3 others have been elected. She also sits on the newly created Health Insurance Marketplace Board. For a retiree, we have a lot to talk about. You're very active.
Yes, I enjoy it very much. I'm doing things that I couldn't do as a justice.
Well, glad to have you in studio with us. Thank you for being here. Let's go with history first. You and I had a conversation for an article in our latest magazine edition of Talk Business about the role of gender and justice, and you breaking that barrier, being that trailblazer to be the first elected female Supreme Court justice. There were some others that were appointed before
Correct.
You and during your time, but you told me you weren't thinking about that gender barrier. You were thinking about the work.
Exactly. In my first conference, after I was sworn in, I thought, oh, I'm going to be really in a pickle, as they say, if I don't like this job, because you don't know what it is till you get there. But I felt like I died and gone to heaven. It was dialogue, it was good disagreements, people were cordial but firm, and we could have it out and talk about things. And then I love to write, I love to read. Every case is different. You learn new things about different industries, different kinds of situations.
It was your cup of tea.
It was my cup of tea.
Now, you also, after you kind of blazed that trail, you thought at the time that you might be the last for a while, but you've been succeeded by 3 more, if not more, because of some other appointments. So.
Right. I am so pleased that we now have 3 elected women justices. At times on the court, I was the only woman. There had been other appointments, as you mentioned earlier, but it's just wonderful. I'm sure, because we're going to have vacancies come up with some of my former colleagues who will be retiring, that other women will run too.
Yeah. Does it surprise you? This was less than 20 years ago that you got elected. I mean, it just seems like that was way too long, way too past due for a woman to be serving on the Arkansas Supreme Court 16 years ago.
Yes.
It seems like it should have happened sooner.
We were getting elected to the trial court level back in the 80s, mid-80s. And like with a lot of things, you have to kind of work up the stairwell. But I think what has happened is not just in the judiciary. I think what has happened is generally more women are running in statewide elections. We've noticed that already in Arkansas. And nationwide it's happening that people say, well, you know, that person's kind of credible. I think I want to try this other gender and see how they do.
Well, let's shift our gears. I appreciate you working with us on that article. That it turned out to be a great piece. If folks haven't read it yet, it's on our website at talkbusiness.net. Let's talk about your new role on the Health Insurance Marketplace Board. I think we've got a graphic to pull up here to explain to our viewers a little bit about what goes on in the Health Insurance Marketplace Board. Act 1500 of 2013 actually created the board. It authorized the governor, the president of the Senate, and the House Speaker to form a 9-member panel. They each get to appoint 3. The board of directors oversees the new online site designed for individuals to find health care coverage, as well as get some standardized information, also to establish a program for small businesses to get some health insurance ideas. And then you guys also get to hire an executive director and staff as necessary. So you've been kind of a consumer advocate in a lot of this health insurance reform. What do you see your role on this board being?
And I am a consumer representative on this board. I was appointed by Governor Beebe as a consumer representative. And I've already been involved on an advisory steering committee with the federal partnership, which will be enrolling October 1 through the federal partnership. So this particular board is commissioned, as you say, to explore how to set up a state exchange that is self-sustaining.
This is kind of up your alley because you like, as you mentioned to me earlier, incubator kind of things. You're gonna. This is a startup enterprise,
It's
basically.
a startup enterprise.
You'll get it rolling, then you'll step back.
I'll step back, and I'm a volunteer. I'm not going to get paid. This is all about setting up a program that allows people to go online and have an Arkansas exchange where they can interact with people who know our state's needs. Because we're actually, if you look at the state of Arkansas, we're 4 or 5 states really. Mm-hmm. We have different kinds
regions,
of populations, right. And to make our exchange respond to consumers' needs in Arkansas.
Do you think that this recent decision to delay the employer mandate, is that going to complicate things for you guys on your end?
I don't think so.
Why
I don't think so. I'll tell you, to me it was a wise decision because there are so many parts to this putting everything together, and that part of it can be done later. As they said, put it off, delay. I don't think it's anything to do with, oh, it's not well designed. I think it's just about how many things can you put in play at one time throughout this nation. Mm-hmm. So I think it candidly, with a lot of common sense, to say, okay, we want to get this right, and then we'll come back and do this other part of it.
We're the exchange right now is set up to be kind of a state-federal hybrid right
Correct.
now. Do you have enough knowledge at this point in time to know whether you think we should be a purely state exchange, state-run exchange, or do you think we should go full federal?
That is one thing that this board is going to have to meet and file articles of incorporation. It will be a nonprofit board, but there is legislative oversight. So it's kind of a quasi-public entity. And that will mean we have to set up our procedures, and then we also have to look at what is out there other people are doing, other state exchanges. Will that work in Arkansas? Can we get the funding to not only plan it, but put it in operation? And then next, can it be self-sustaining?
We've got about 30 seconds before we have to wrap up here. Do you see other areas of concern, things that you're keeping an eye on that are most important to you to be watchful over?
To be sure that we make it affordable. A program is only as good as what you set out to do, and that's what we want to do, is be sure the premiums are affordable to our citizens.
We're going to find out if that's the case sometime after October 1st, right?
Right.
All right. She's Annabelle Tuck, former Supreme Court Justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. After this word from our commercial sponsors, we'll be back to wrap up. I'm Roby Brock. This is Talk Business.